Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan is continuing to prove that he is a profoundly dangerous buffoon on the world stage. The New York Times is reporting that in comments broadcast by Turkish media on Friday, Erdogan made some really disturbing comments. Quote, Erdogan wants to change the Turkish constitution to turn the ceremonial role of president into that of a chief executive, a Turkish version of the system in the United States, France, or Russia. Asked on his return from a visit to Saudi Arabia late on Thursday whether an executive presidential system was possible while maintaining the unitary structure of the state, he said, quote, there are already examples in the world. You can see it when you look at Hitler's Germany. Whoa. Wait, what? So so you're trying to give yourself more power as a unitary executive. Okay, is it possible for, Turkey to be as successful if they have that kind of a government? He's like, totally. Look at Nazi Germany. Perfect example. Okay, that's wrong in so many ways. First of all, by what metric, by what standard was Nazi Germany successful? I believe none. It was a horrific, viciously intolerant, racist, bigoted system built on genocide, the Holocaust, oppression, war, militarism. And naturally, it failed spectacularly. He's like, that's my idea of success. But even if you interpret this as kindly as possible, what he means is, I would like to have as much power as the unitary executive did in Germany, Hitler. I would like to have that much power. That's still not a good thing. No, nobody should have that much power. Look at what he did with that power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. But even if, let's say, okay, so he just wants that much power and he doesn't mean, the Holocaust and whatnot, that's still stupid. Because what you're doing is you're destroying a rich history and tradition in Turkey of a secular democracy. And that's the problem with Erdogan, period, is that he's a Muslim fundamentalist. He is a power-hungry dictator and tyrant. And he's ruining the tradition of Ataturk and the tradition of having democracy and secularism in Turkey. And he's doing it with a smile on his face. He's basically doing the same trick that Vladimir Putin does in Russia, where he's prime minister and he makes all the decisions because that's what the prime minister is supposed to do in Turkey. Or that's not fair. He has the most power. The prime minister is supposed to have the most power. And then when he's out of time there, he goes to become president. And he spends time there, and he'll just keep going back and forth. And he's trying to do constitutional changes and structural governmental changes to give him more power and allow it so that he can just have more power and he doesn't have to go back and forth. And there's evidence of him stealing elections and whatnot and viciously cracking down on the Kurds and cracking down on anybody who disagrees with him, locking up a kid for comparing him to Golem in a Facebook post, a Lord of the Rings character or whatever. People put up, one person tore down, this one was a kid too, tore down the poster of Erdogan somewhere. He's in a jail cell now. This guy is a brutal, authoritarian, backwards buffoon. And again, other things too, like you think, okay, it's just, it's regional though, it's contained. It ain't contained, bitch. Look at what he did with Russia. He says, I don't believe him, the Russian plane flew into Turkish airspace, shoot it down. There were no warnings, no nothing. They lied and were like, we gave over 20 warnings. Nonsense! Shot down a Russian plane. This is the kind of epic moron that blunders our way into World War III. And now you know what he's all about. He's like, okay, an example of a successful government that's basically a fascist dictatorship. Hitler's Germany. That's what I want to be like. Yeah. Who says that? Who says that? A stupid person says that. A barbaric person says that. A moron says that. But one of our allies, so shh. Don't talk about Turkey as if it's run by a fundamentalist Muslim crazy person. Shh. Can't talk about that, just like you can't talk about how Saudi is a Salafi terror state that has the same ideology as ISIS. Shh. Don't talk about that. There are allies. There are friends. So only talk about Iran being bad. That's the only one you have a green light to talk about being bad. Everybody else, www.shh.com, and let's move along. I'm not going to move along. Stuff like this should not go by without us recognizing it and doing something policy-wise. How about we slowly untangle relations with countries that, I don't know, behead sorcerers and behead people for witchcraft and kill people for apostasy, and we slowly untangle our relationship with the country with the guy who idolizes Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany? Or am I asking too much? I don't know.